All right, we'll call the regular meeting of the City Council of Clearlake to order. Clearlake City Hall Council Chambers, 14050 Olympic Drive, Clearlake, California, Thursday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. A roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Overton. Here. Councilmember Kramer.
Here.
Councilmember Claffey.
Here.
Vice Mayor Purdock.
Here.
Mayor Slutin.
Here. Okay. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor Purdock, would you do the invocation, please?
Sure. Our kind and gracious Father in heaven, we ask that you would join with us tonight, that your Spirit would be with us to give us wisdom and guidance as we do the work for the city of Clearlake. We are so grateful for thee and grateful for the comfort you give for those who are suffering and struggling. We ask that you would bless them and give them strength. We ask for a special blessing on our staff tonight. And we say these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Any changes to your agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, item number 1, we're going to hold that over until the next meeting so Cal OS can be here in person.
Okay. I didn't see the adoptable dogs in there, so can we substitute that for that? Or there was some, I believe.
I don't think we just do that once a month, so that'll be at the next meeting, yeah.
All right, then we go to presentation regarding Lake County Clean Water Program. Oh, sorry, we need to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda with the removal of item 1.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Purdock and a second by Councilman Kramer. We'll go to our voting.
Aye.
Aye.
I guess it might be tricky for Councilman Claffey to vote on that.
Yeah, we should probably. Can you do it? Okay.
Oh,
I beat all of you.
Oh.
You're way ahead of me. I didn't even know where I'm at yesterday. Sorry, guys.
All right, let's,
I'm just gonna say aye.
okay, Councilwoman Overton says aye. Please tell me the results of the vote, Madam Clerk.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
All right, very good. We'll go to presentation regarding the Lake County Clean Water Program and Stormwater Management in Lake County. Who is going to take this item? Oh,
Okay, so we have a few folks on Zoom, and then, so clerk will add them as panelists, and then Ms. Brown and Ms. Clark will add in some information along the way, I think.
All right. So please proceed with your presentation.
Great, thank you. Can you see me on video and hear me okay?
See you and hear you.
There? Great. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen, if that's all right. Can everybody see that screen okay?
Yes.
Great, okay. Thank you for having us today. My name is Angela DePalma-Dow. I'm Program Coordinator over here in Lake County Water Resources. And we're going to do little introductions for the team that will be presenting this to you today. So I'll go to my colleagues here at County Lake Water Resources. Next.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Marina Delajanis. I serve as the Deputy Water Resources Director for the Lake County Watershed Protection District, and I'll pass it over to Daniela.
Hi, I'm Daniela, and I'm a Program Coordinator here with Lake County Water Resources, and I help manage the Clean Water Program.
Thank you.
My name is Kylie Clark, and I'm the Stormwater Coordinator for the City of Clearlake.
All right.
Thank you so much for this introduction. So we really appreciate having the time tonight to be able to talk to your council about this program. You're probably wondering, why are we talking about stormwater at the beginning of the summer? But it's really important that we're looking at water quality, and stormwater is all one connected system, and that's what we hope to convey today in this talk. We also want to give you a heads up that This might be a rather lengthy presentation in comparison to future presentations, only because we haven't given our boards and councils an update on this program since at least 2015. So it will be a little bit longer, but hopefully annual updates after this will be a little bit shorter. Skipping, there we go. Okay, so this is a little outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Some background, particularly talking about stormwater and water quality. We're also going to be talking about how this program is structured. It's a multi-jurisdictional program. Some accomplishments, some of the work groups that we've established to be able to accomplish this, this large effort, some funding sources and next steps. We do have question and answer time at the end, but if there's any time there's a question from the council, just please let me know and we can address that throughout the talk. And I will say that stormwater programs, they're federal, state policy, local policy. They have a lot of alphabet soup. So we do have an acronym cheat sheet here. We have provided hard copies. I believe Kylie has provided hard copies to the council and any members in chamber there tonight. And then anybody at home, if you're looking at this, you want to do a screenshot so you have it in case you need to refer to it later. That's a good idea. We'll try to spell everything out, describe what they are, but in case we don't, this is a good tool to have to be able to reference quickly. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the introduction, the members of this program. So the roles and the responsibilities of the Clean Water Program, it's to provide program management and monitor the overall implementation of stormwater permits, any associated orders and amendments, and also any relevantly local ordinances and codes. The Management Council also makes decisions and provides recommendations to the boards or councils when needed for projects or budgetary spending on this program. So this is like what we do, and the next slide talks about who we are.
Yeah, so as Angela mentioned, this is a multi-jurisdictional program. It's the Clean Water Management Council, and we aim to be collaborative, all because we share a receiving water body, which is Clearlake, and its relating tributaries. So you should have the members outlined on your informational handout, but I will go through those members that sit on the Clean Water Management Council right now. I'll start with the primary representative for each entity, and then also the secondary alternative. So representing the County of Lake Board of Supervisors, we have Supervisor Eddie E.J. Crandall with the alternative of Supervisor Bruno Sabatier. County of Lake Watershed Protection District, myself, Marina Della Janis, as Deputy Director, with the alternate as Director Scott De Leon. For County of Lake Stormwater Coordinator, we have Angela DePalma-Dow, who is joining us today, and also Daniela Cazares, who is joining us today. For the Lakeport City Council, we have Maria Turner, who serves as the Chair for the Clean Water Management Council, with Michael Green as the alternate. Lakeport Stormwater Coordinator, we have Bonnie Sharp with the alternate as Jenny Byers. For Clear Lake City Council, we have Joyce Overton, who serves as the Vice Chair for the Council, and Russ Kramer as the alternate. And for Clear Lake Stormwater Coordinator, we have Kylie Clark and Adeline Brown.
Thanks, Marina. So next we'll talk a little bit about the background of this program, and again, really making those connections that stormwater and water quality are connected here. So stormwater is basically the precipitation or even snowmelt that runs off the landscape and goes to the end water source. For here, it's Clear Lake, and then down through Cache Creek, and then out through the Delta. And lower parts of the county, it goes into Pewter Creek and down into Lake Berryessa. This water is usually not treated, so it doesn't go to a water treatment plant. It picks up any pollutants, pollution, contaminants along the way, and takes that to our water bodies. And then stormwater does flow through both built and natural infrastructures. And again, it can contain things that could be harmful for our waterways. And it is the main contributor to poor water quality conditions in some of our lakes and streams. Stormwater management is the structures that we have in place to kind of help abate some of that stormwater, some of those pollutants and contaminants before it runs into our water bodies. There's two different types of stormwater management, structural and source. Structural is just like it sounds. It's the structures that we have on the landscape, like filtering or bioretention, that can treat stormwater on its pathway down into a water body. These are parts of what's called BMPs, or best management practices. And there's some more examples of these in your informational handout. And just know that BMPs aren't all created equal. Some, especially for our area, are a lot better than others, especially for nutrient retention, which is something that we deal with our lake and all of our cyanobacteria and algae blooms. The other type of stormwater management is source control. This can be outreach and education, so preventing pollution from getting started, from impacting our stormwater at the source. And also the policies and procedures that guide these things. How we plan these structures, how we plan these source controls are all things that can help reduce impacts of stormwater quality. And a lot of this is rooted in the Clean Water Act from 1972. They just did a big review of this act and found that it is working. National policies do work, and they trickle down and work in locally too. The Clean Water Act is a federal act that actually then directs the state stormwater permits, of which we are a co-permittee with the city of Clearlake and the city of Lakeport. And the Clean Water Program manages and complies with all of our stormwater permits and Clean Water Act. So Clean Water Act actually is cleaning water. Some caveats to that. The review found it is very, very expensive. There have been some grants and funding that has come down that kind of evens out that cost-benefit ratio. But they did conclude that more investment in Clean Water Act programs and projects is going to lead to overall benefits to better water quality. However, since 1972, there's been less pollution, more fishable miles of streams is how they've measured that, even though there's a lot of more work to do. About 50% of streams and lakes out there are still polluted. The graphs on the right here are from that review, and you can see the years on the bottom axis and the streams, number of streams on the Y. On the top one, this shows the number of streams that are not swimmable have declined since the Clean Water Act has been in place. And then also total suspended solids, which is the amount of materials that are found in waterways, have also declined since Clean Water Act. Some of these declines you can see started before the Clean Water Act went into place, and that's because there was some other policies at a national and some state levels before the Clean Water Act actually started. It started improving some waterways.
So as Angela mentioned, our Clean Water Act was a federal snapshot. We do have some local policies too that work in tandem. And for example, we have our Middle Creek Restoration Project. So this project is located on the northern part of our lake in the area of Upper Lake. And once this project is completed, it will be improve an estimated of 40% of the nutrient impact of the natural, agricultural, and urban stormwater through a recreated wetland. This project will reclaim those levees, restore it back to wetland. I'm going to pass it over to Angela to elaborate a little bit more on the importance of not only our local projects, such as the Middle Creek Restoration Project, but why these two go in tandem to improve our water quality throughout the watershed.
Thanks, Serena. Yeah, so the Middle Creek area you can see is relatively small when you look at the whole entire watershed. The rest of those inputs from the watershed are coming from stormwater and other sorts of inputs from urban areas and from rural areas. And this is very well established in the literature that stormwater impacts water quality, particularly when you're looking at blooms like cyanobacteria. And then we are a drinking water source too, which also comes up, stormwater impacts can impact drinking water treatments. So urban unincorporated areas will address the remainder of those nutrient reductions that aren't being met by the Middle Creek project. So it's important for us to manage stormwater around the rest of the lake in the watershed. And again, there's been case studies, not just within the state, but within other counties in the state that have demonstrated that stormwater efforts have improved water quality in receiving lakes and streams. And again, we're very unique in that our main receiving water body is a drinking water source, and we pay some of the highest treatment costs in the state for our drinking water, and a lot of that is due to our water quality, the amount of materials that's in our water, and this is a burden both to our consumers and the county overall, and anything we can do to improve water quality, like better stormwater management, can help improve some of those treatment costs. The next we'll go into the Clean Water Program structure and some of the Clean Water Program accomplishments. And this photo here is a picture of a lakeside park. This is County Lakeside Park. And this is very appropriate for this section because one of our work groups or parks are part of our stormwater permit. So proper maintenance, like cleaning up after your pets, making sure trash is picked up after guests use the park, all of those things are part of our stormwater requirements, particularly for parks that are adjacent to waterways like this.
I will now go over some background information on the MS4 permit and its boundaries. MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, and only applies to the shaded areas in the map shown to the right. While the Clean Water Act and ordinances are written to protect water quality of the entire county, the reporting, tracking, and implementation that the Clean Water Program handles under the MS4 permit is specific to these shaded areas. Our situation with the Clean Water Program is very unique when compared to the rest of California's MS4 areas because of the fact that we work together across jurisdictions in order to protect Clearlake.
So some of the accomplishments the work group has attained, again, this is a multi-year report to you guys at the council tonight. So from 2019 to 2021, we have renewed an expired agreement. Our current agreement expired, I believe, in 2015. So we renewed that with all of the co-permittees. We also created and improved some bylaws, and we also completed a trash implementation plan. And this was a state order that was given to us in 2017. And that plan cover sheet is here on the right on the top. In 2020, we entered a cost share agreement to meet some Tmdl compliance, which was also a state order. And we had help with the contractor at EOA. And then we had a cost share agreement for what's called a program effectiveness and assessment plan. This was also a permit requirement that was expired. And we have completed the second one. The Tmdl compliance, shout out to Lakeport and Clearlake. You guys are on your way to being 100% compliant and meeting that. And the county still has a little bit more work to do on that Tmdl order. In 2021, we had a cost share agreement to conduct some Ms4 Urban Monitoring around the county. So we had 9 urban sites within county jurisdictions, 1 site at Lakeport and 1 site at Clearlake. And we successfully were able to monitor about 4 storm events this year, even though this year had relatively low number of events. And we also had a cost share agreement to conduct another order on this permit, which is for pyrethroid monitoring. Pyrethroids are urban pesticides that people usually use around their house or in their homes to prevent pests. And we have that program for 4 urban sites, including 1 in city of Clearlake. And then we also had some good accomplishments with some funding. So we got approved $1.9 million from the Blue Ribbon Committee for the Rehabilitation of Clearlake. We were awarded and approved $706,000 of those funds right away. They're in contract right now. And those can be used by the jurisdictions of Lakeport and City of Clearlake to do trash implementation for our trash plan. So if you guys want to host some cleanup days, if there's illegal dumps going on, all these funds can be used for those kinds of things. We are waiting for additional funds, the remainder $1 million from the Blue Ribbon Committee that'll be part of the governor's budget approval in May of next year. And this breaks down to some infrastructure assessment improvement surveys, some program and protocol improvements, a good portion for outreach and education, and then general managing of that program. So a good bunch of funds that we haven't seen in this program for all of the jurisdictions to utilize to improve overall stormwater management. And then we all put together a letter of support for a stormwater program coordinator. It takes a lot to manage this program. We don't have a designated staff to do this, especially for all the partners. And we got that approved, and we're currently moving forward with figuring out a contractor to hire for this position. The next, we'll talk about the work group. So this is a huge program. The work groups kind of split it up a little bit, and then the accomplishments for each of those work groups. Now I put this photo here. This is one of our work groups in action, the illicit discharge detection elimination system. So we got a report of paint down a storm drain, and we went out, investigated, and what this is basically the insides of a boom material that are put in the bottom of the storm drain to soak up all the paint so it won't go out into the drain and down into Clearlake when any rains or water go into the drain. So this is what our staff did with the report of some paint in a storm drain, which is part of one of our work groups.
This chart represents the structure of the Clean Water Program. At the top, we have the council, which meets once every quarter. Then we have the program broken up into sections dependent on requirements that we need to meet with the MS4 permit. which includes public education and outreach program, illegal discharge detection and elimination, construction site stormwater runoff control, post-construction stormwater management, pollution prevention, and good housekeeping for municipal operations, total maximum daily load, and program effectiveness assessment and improvement plan. And then also with all of those is public participation and involvement. Along with the permit, there have been additional components added on since 2017, including the trash plan order. In 2018 was the additional Tmdl orders and requirements, and then in 2019, the pesticide pyrethroid monitoring order was added on.
Thanks, Kylie. So the first work group we're going to talk about is the Public Education Outreach Program, or Public Involvement Program, which met over 10 times between 2020 and 2021. We have about 48 members on each of these meetings that include participants from county, City of Clearlake, City of Lakeport, as well as several citizens. We've also had tribal involvement on this work group. We've created things like some informational brochures, both in digital format and in hard format. We have digital PSAs like the one on the right that went out to folks talking about trash in the streets leads to the creeks into Clearlake. And then people can click on that and get more information about stormwater. We have a drain marking campaign, which we gave some drain markers to the City of Clearlake, and so you guys can go out, or you have gone out and put out drain markers on some of your drains, marking them. They say things like no dumping, or drains lead to creeks or lead to the lake. We do have an online story map, so this is on our Clean Water Program webpage under community involvement, and you scroll on the left side of the page, and it gives you information about stormwater. It's a great resource, a learning tool for students or anybody that's interested in water quality impacts. We did create a video PSA. Also, it's about 1:22 long, and it goes through a little introduction about stormwater. Oh, this one was mine too. Okay. Construction Pecan work group. So this is for the construction during when there's a construction project going on and they're building something. Post-construction is the design of that construction. So how is the construction being smart for stormwater and runoff? And this work group met 4 times virtually since 2020, about 4 to 6 members, including stormwater coordinators from all jurisdictions and some citizens, particularly some construction plan draftsmen that want to be aware of what things they need to include in their construction plans. Some of the accomplishments were creation of some educational flyers like illicit discharge detection flyer. The review initiated the redraft of the low impact development plan, which City of Clearlake has adopted, and we're still developing for Lakeport and the county. Review of stormwater policies for staff and construction communities, and then review and participation in trainings. And then some of the current progress plans for that are continuing to update stormwater policies for staff at jurisdictions and for having that information available for the construction community so they're aware of current permits and what they need to be doing. And then creating post-construction guidelines, again, for stormwater development plans, and then creating handouts to go with all of this so it's easy, user-friendly. And there is currently no established funding at this time, so people attend based on internal funds, and it's coordinated by the City of Lakeport's stormwater coordinator.
So as the stormwater coordinator for the City of Clearlake, I host the Muni Good Housekeeping Pollution Prevention Work Group quarterly. It consists of 5 to 6 members, including public works from both cities, stormwater coordinators from all 3 jurisdictions, and water resources. Some accomplishments that we have already reached include creating GIS standards for maps for our MS4 reporting, which have been able to, or which the City of Lakeport and the county have also been able to implement some of those standards in their reporting as well. We've also been documenting trainings for Clearlake Public Works, and this is in progress at Lakeport and the county. Some current things that we're working on include creating a Permittee-Owned facility inspection checklist for the public works departments, which is required for our annual MS4 reporting. Basically, this checklist is going to be handed off to public works so that they can annually and quarterly inspect all jurisdiction-owned facilities to ensure that there's not any pollution going into our waterways, and this needs to be documented. So we're trying to create an easy way for them to report.
Right, so I host the IDDE work group, and we meet about 6 times per year since 2020, and we've met virtually. This work group is hosted the first Wednesday of every other month, and we have about 6 to 7 members made up of representatives from Public Works from the City of Lakeport and City of Clearlake, as well as some tribal EPA representatives, and then some members of the public also attend. Some accomplishments include that we've coordinated outreach for cleanup events across jurisdictions to prevent illegal discharging into storm drains or onto the lake. And we've also developed a draft IDD guidance plan, which should streamline the process of reporting spills and knowing who to call and contact on where do we get clean up those spills. Another big accomplishment is that we secured Blue Ribbon Committee funding for this program's development and sustainability for the next 3 to 5 years. Current progress and project plans include storm drain inventory, updating and standardizing protocols for spill response, and then finalizing and implementing the IDDE guidance plan. I also coordinate the trash work group plan, and that has a lot more to do with trash itself. Who's picking up all this trash that's being illegally dumped everywhere or just showing up when no one knows what's going on. So we meet also on the same kind of schedule as the IDDE work group. We meet 6 times per year, every other month, on the first Tuesday of every other month. And it consists of 6 to 7 members as well. And this has more public participation than the other work group does, but also includes members from Public Work at all jurisdictions to coordinate efforts on how do we combat illegal dumping, because it's not written into any of our departments to solve that issue. Our accomplishments include we collected data for street sweeper routes so people know where the street sweepers go, and we can collect data on how much our street sweepers are removing from going into storm drains and into our water bodies. We've also hosted multiple coastal cleanup days, and with secured Blue Ribbon Committee funding, we're hoping to kind of make the community cleanup events much more during the year instead of just one huge event in September. And then we've also met the trash implementation requirements for trash assessments on the selected streets through the trash implementation program on odd years. Our current progress and project plans include hosting at least 6 to 12 annual large-scale cleanups across jurisdictions, City of Lakeport, City of Clear Lake, and in the county. So it won't only be county sites. We'll coordinate everything and have that funding available through the Blue Ribbon Committee funds. Planning for stream and lakeshore tire disposal collection, because that's been a big issue that's been brought up through the drought with all the tires popping up everywhere. And then implementing mechanisms to decrease the high generating trash assessment areas.
And there's some miscellaneous work group accomplishments that we have. They're included in your informational handout. And some of these include things, again, like our Tmdl. We're mostly meeting compliance in Tmdl. This hasn't happened since 2017. City of Clear Lake and City of Lakeport, you guys are pretty much in compliance, almost done. And the county just has a little bit more to work on. And then we have completed our program assessment and improvement plan for that. So this is our last section, funding and next steps. This is not an image of Clear Lake. It's a little too blue for that, but it's a good summary of kind of what we're all working for. Once trash and pollutants get in waterways, they're basically impossible to remove. So we really don't have a way to get those things out of the water once they're there. And this is a great summary image to kind of show why this program is so important and all these efforts that are going forward are important and need to be supported. So some funding sources for all these programs. There's not really designated sustainable funding source. We kind of do it patchwork as things come up. So the county funds are mostly from watershed protection district revenues. And then we also got some cannabis tax funds to fund some Tmdl work. That was very important for us to meet compliance. And the City of Lakeport funds are from their general fund, and City of Clear Lake funds are engineering fund source. We have received some grants and have some in progress. So we received some outreach funds from the Fish and Wildlife Committee. That was in 2019. And that provided all those drain markers we have, as well as some mapping for this project, as well as some outreach, like some PSAs and some advertisements. Like I said, the county internal cannabis funds provided a single $100,000, which we use towards TMDL, our program effectiveness improvement plan, and also monitoring that we did coordinated with both jurisdictions. And then our Blue Ribbon Committee funds, as we talked about before, we have the $700,000 in progress right now and expecting another $1 million for that. And then the county has put a $500,000 match to make sure all this Blue Ribbon Committee funds are used fully and we meet all our project goals because some of these funds are only good for 3 years. And we want to make sure that we have a legacy for the work that we're doing within these grants. However, in general, there's no sustainable funding source. It's not guaranteed every year we're going to have funds for this program, what needs to happen. So we need more consistent and committed funding sources, particularly for program and staff consistency and sustainability. Some of the pitfalls of this program over the years have been staff come and go and leave, and then some of the program suffers because of that. So the next steps are going to be to continue the Management Council quarterly meetings. We've made a lot of progress with those meetings and the efforts of the members in those meetings, as well as the work groups, and we want to keep that going. We do need to improve program support, so looking at more dedicated staff, more funding sources, and some of this might be reflected in upcoming budget requests and allocations for your council. I know we've had discussions at the county level where we have some items included in our budgets for these programs. Some of the outstanding items that we need to address this coming year is finishing the low impact development planning document. We started that, but we just couldn't do it with our level of expertise. And so we are putting in a cost share to get a contractor to help us finish that. And not just to be a document that sits on the shelf in a binder, but actually to implement it. So get some trainings for all our staff, for the construction community, so we can really have positive impacts and smart planning using this as a resource and a valuable tool. The next thing is the Stormwater Resources Plan. We have to start and finish that. This is really important. So stormwater in the past has been a nuisance, right? There's a lot of water comes on the landscape. We want to get it out and out of the way as quick as possible. And that usually means putting it in the lake or the rivers. Instead, if we look at stormwater as a valuable resource, right now we're in water scarcity mode. If we can capture that stormwater, store it, use it for groundwater recharge, or use it for something that we really have high value for, this plan will help us organize and put all that together. The other reason why this plan is useful is that it enables us to be eligible for state bond funding. So Proposition 1 funds, for stormwater projects, we were not eligible to get any of those funds because we did not have a stormwater resources plan in existence. Every other county was able to get stormwater funds and they were able to make this plan. We did not have this plan in place, so we were not able to get stormwater funds for that. So any future state funds through proposition funds for stormwater infrastructure, which could be millions of dollars, once we have this plan in place, we're eligible to receive those. So it's a multi-purpose plan. Also thinking about storing water as like fire mitigation will be a topic included in this plan too. So all things that we value and that are important that we're trying to work on. And then also important is improving outreach and education. So really making sure the connection between stormwater and Clearlake water quality is common knowledge in the community. Clearlake will never be clean without the full implementation of this program and full implementation of the stormwater permit component. So today, we went through a lot of things that we've done great, that we've accomplished. We're still only at 50%. So we only meet 50% of our permit requirements. And the lake will be in a lot better state. Our water quality will be in a lot better state if we're actually meeting 100% of those permit components and all of our Clean Water Act components too, outside of the MS4 permit areas. So just something to keep in mind. We do have a new permit coming up. It's expected in 2023. The state hasn't decided on a date yet. They're still drafting it, but we know that there's going to be some additional expensive obligations associated with that new permit cycle. So to compound on top of our already being at 50% meeting our permit compliance with those additions that'll be coming up in a few years, we really want to make sure we're investing in this program, maintaining it, keeping it going strong forward so we can meet all these things and see it realized in our water quality. So that is it. Thank you so much. At this time, we can take any questions and answers. We can have a discussion as well. And again, thank you to the board tonight for listening to this presentation and learning about this program.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from council? No? All right. Since, I have one question. Is Lake Pillsbury, since it's in the county, part of your work?
So the question was, is Lake Pillsbury part of this work? So Lake Pillsbury is not part of our MS4. It's not an urban area, so we don't have state permit requirements. However, it's in the county, so if there's any construction being done around it, they're still beholden to like local ordinances, county codes, things like that. It's also a little difficult because it is in a national park area, so there's some federal guidelines for building a national park and things like that. But yeah, we've had code enforcement respond to things up at Lake Pillsbury for like Clean Water Act violations and things like that. So as far as local ordinances, it applies. Clean Water Act, just not through the MS4 state permit requirements. And I hope that answered your question.
Great. Any other question? Thank you very much for your presentation. This is obviously the lake is a lifeline to our existence here, so we want to make sure that it's clean. Thank you very much for your presentation. All right. Go to item number 3, presentation of a proclamation declaring June 2022 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. Whereas our nation was founded on the principles of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long in coming for many Americans. Some of our most inspiring moments in our history have risen from the various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins to the mainstream of American society. And whereas in the movement towards equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and asexual people, a historic turning point occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City with the onset of the Stonewall riots. During these riots, the LGBTQIA plus citizens rose up and resisted police harassment that arose out of discriminatory criminal laws that have been since declared unconstitutional. In the 4 decades since, civil rights for LGBTQIA plus people have grown substantially, and LGBTQIA plus pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots. And whereas California has been a leader in advancing the civil rights of its LGBTQIA plus citizens, and while further progress is needed, it's important to recognize and celebrate the substantial gains that have been achieved. And the city of Clearlake stands with the LGBTQIA community in its struggles to ensure equal treatment for all and to advocate for all LGBTQIA plus rights as human rights. Now, therefore, the Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby proclaim June 2022 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month in Clearlake and advocates for protection for all LGBTQIA plus individuals to make our community a place where all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, are treated with dignity and respect. Signed by me today, June 2nd, 2022. And Diane, could you come forward? If Erin wants to, so come on up.
Hey,
You want to say something?
yeah, let me,
We'll take over.
Here?
You turn around and face the audience there.
I'd like to thank the City of Clearlake, the City Council, and as I look over to my left, I see a line of law enforcement officers. I'd also like to thank them. They're a big part of this community. They keep us safe.
Thank you.
I'd like to see the flag also flying over the City of Clearlake, so I would ask the City Council to consider that. They did it once before.
It's at the county. It's at the county?
I'd like to see it again.
The county
because
has one, but do we have one?
we can come in here and we can accept this document. We can come in here and we can accept this document, and we feel seen. But there's a lot of people outside there that aren't in this room that don't realize this is happening. So seeing that flag on the pole shows, inclusion and, yeah.
Yes, we need to get it done. Thank you, Diane.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks for letting me talk. Appreciate it.
All right. It's now time for public comment. This is a time for any member of the public to address the City Council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought before under public comment. The council cannot take any action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on the next available agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item, and comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. I have 3 cards here. And Mr. Willie Long, would you come up, please? You're back.
Afternoon, Council. Last month I was here in regards to cracks in windows and mud flaps. Chief White was, I guess, on the TV, but not here. I don't want to deal with that too much today. What I want to deal with is the bike lanes and the Dam Road and
You have Phillips and 40th?
huh?
Phillips and 40th?
Phillips, right. That bike lane runs from Lake and Dam all the way up to 40th. 6 more blocks would have took it to the, as I said before, to the road that goes up to the dump. Well, I live on the most dangerous street there is. I live at 42nd and Phillips. Because we don't have a bike lane on there, or do we have any signs saying bike lanes? I have 4 cars parked right at that intersection going down, 4 cars going up. Because we have trucks with trailers coming from the dumps down there, I can't see. I literally can't see when I hit that intersection. I had to have somebody else wave me into the street coming in here to this meeting today.
Okay.
I think some attention needs to be paid to it. If you guys aren't going to finish paving it and turning it back into a full bike lane, you should at least put some signs up or put signs where they can't block within 100 feet of that intersection so people can see how to safely get out there. Because sooner or later, you can have an injury and or death on your hands because these people do not pay attention when they're coming down, and we shouldn't have to, constantly worry about that.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Assume that our public works staff will take note of that. Okay, we have 2 other comments. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, it's something we'll talk internally and perhaps review forward to the Traffic Safety Committee.
Okay, we have 2 other comments here from Judy Barnes. She is concerned about the abandoned shopping carts and lack of enforcement of existing ordinance. And we have a similar message from Barbara Kreiswich. I'd like to support from the city of Clearlake for getting rid of the abandoned shopping carts, which are an eyesore in our city. The empty carts seem to attract garbage, in that people put garbage in and into the cart. But I believe it's an item that's on some future.
I think maybe it looks like they both left. I talked to them briefly before the meeting. Just for the council's information, we have done some work on some revisions to the shopping cart ordinance and just trying to find a delicate balance between something that's perhaps more effective but doesn't penalize the grocery store owners that are actually doing a good job. So.
All right, we have any additional comments from the public here in the chambers? Would you come up to the front, ma'am? Please state your name.
My name is Susie Heidebrecht, and I live on Sunset Avenue. I am a cat rescuer. In the month of May, I have a pack of 3 dogs that have killed 6 of my cats so far. And I'd like to know what I can legally do as a citizen to take care of these dogs. They don't belong to anybody on our street. I don't know what I can do. I went after him this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning and saved one of my cats with a big old shovel. So I didn't know what I could legally do.
Perhaps one of the gentlemen behind you, Ms. Heidebrecht, perhaps one of the gentlemen behind you could address your question privately.
Privately.
Oh, okay,
That's, we cannot act on it, but you can certainly talk to the people from Code
Okay,
Enforcement
so
and Animal
after-
Control outside. All right, any more public comment here? If not, anyone on Zoom,
No, wait,
Madam
wait,
Clerk?
wait, wait. We have one more.
One more? Oh. There you go, Officer Scott. Thank you for.
Thank you, council members and mayor. We were reported, or my name is Mark Scott. I work with North Bay Animal Services, and we are contracted to provide animal control and some of the shelter services for the city of Clearlake. Recently, we were made aware of a pack of dogs that have been kind of running amok throughout the city, causing much damage to certain individuals. A little of this was difficult to ascertain all the information. Some of it was private social media groups, so it didn't come to us directly. The reports that did come to us directly, we were able to act on. We did have a member of the public follow the dogs to where they belong. We sent our officers there. They were able to identify the owner. We were able to identify the owner and then identify each of the dogs that lived there. We cited the owner for having too many dogs and for the dogs being at large. We are working with them on trying to relocate some of them because there's too many in that house. The household is on Manchester, and in that area is where the pack was coming from. Our officer put out cameras to decide, was this the only pack that's out there? But we are taking it seriously. We obviously have had lots of reports. I think I've spoke to maybe 15 to 18 different members of the public about the problem. We received a number of emails about it, a couple of videos. A lot of it is not something we can move on because it's grainy or it doesn't come across right, but the stuff we did get and the reports we did able to move on led us to where we're at now. We're hoping to have a resolution to the problem by next week completely and have the dogs under the correct number, which is 4, and then go from there. So I just wanted to update. I think we also were working with the police department to put out an announcement that just says where you're supposed to call, which is North Bay Animal Services, 707-762-6227. Or if you wanted to email any reports, it would be animalcontrol@northbayanimalservices.org. You can obviously contact City of Clearlake PD. But just want to kind of update and let you know that we're actively working this problem and trying to mitigate it best we can. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A timely response. All right, do we have any more comments on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. Are there anybody wants to deal with any of that? I'll open to the public. Anyone who wants to pull anything on the consent agenda? If not, we'll bring it back to the council. Can I entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Vice Mayor Purdock. We'll try our electronic voting again. Okay. It's an aye for Councilwoman Overton. And I see all green over there, so I assume we're good.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Very good. We'll go to item number 14, confirm assessments of the amount of $76,959.16 for city-funded abatements in accordance with Clearlake Municipal Code, Chapter 10. I assume this is the code enforcement's item. Please, Mr. Lambert.
All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. This is a public hearing to confirm assessments for delinquent abatement costs. The purpose of this hearing is to consider and act upon any and all appeals of proposed special assessments. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant the appeal and adopt a resolution to deny or amend the assessment, or deny the appeal and adopt a resolution upholding the assessment for abatement of real property. So pre-hearing information, inspection and abatement warrants were issued by a judge of the Lake County Superior Court for each property. Abatements were completed. Property owners were invoiced for the cost of said abatements. Property owners failed to remit payment for the cost of said abatements. We did get payment on one, which isn't included on here. Attached to the staff report is the proposed resolution confirming assessments and statement of expenses. Staff recommends that council confirms all assessments as proposed. The mayor shall read the resolution by title only. A roll call vote shall follow the reading of the resolution. Council members have been provided copies of the invoices.
Any questions from staff? Oh, go ahead, please.
So the first property is 3407 Oleander Street. The second property is 3864 Liddell Avenue. Third property is 14514 Emory Avenue. One 5586 33rd Avenue. 15783 40th
No,
Avenue.
ma'am, you can't close the door.
Can't close the door, ma'am.
Please, ma'am, could you leave the door open, please?
Thanks.
14220 Pearl Street. (3395) 4th Street. 16092 10th Avenue. And 16102 10th Avenue.
So these are all before and after pictures?
Correct.
Okay. Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Lambert? If not, we open it for the public.
Dave.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So of these folks all didn't remit payment. Have we had contact with any of these folks?
Just one.
The abatement?
Just one.
Just one? And that was the one that submitted a payment or?
No,
or
so
not?
two total, one that submitted a payment and one that hasn't.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we open it up to the public. We have a public comment on that? Not in the council chambers. Anything on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make A motion to approve resolution number 2022-30 and read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake confirming special assessments and approving liens against real properties located at 3407 Oleander Street, 3864 Liddell Avenue, 14514 Emory Avenue, 15586 33rd Avenue, 15783 40th Avenue, 14220 Pearl Street, 3395 4th Street, 16092 10th Avenue, and 16102 10th Avenue for the cost of abatements in accordance with Chapter 10 of the Clearlake Municipal Code.
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer.
Second.
We have a second by Vice Mayor Perdock. I'll go to the vote. And Councilwoman Overton is an aye.
Aye.
All right, so what's the result of the vote, Madam Clerk?
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Very good. We'll go to item number 15.
Yes.
15.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
So this is a consideration of appeal of abatement order. The purpose of this hearing is to consider and act upon an appeal of an issued order to abate. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant or deny the appeal and adopt a resolution confirming said decision. The address is 16036 14th Avenue. On 5/16/2022, an investigation was performed and the illegal outdoor cultivation of marijuana was observed. On 5/19/2022, an order of abate was issued to the property owner and posted on the property. On 5/24/2022, a request for appeal was submitted in a timely manner by the property owner. Council was provided with copies of all the notices and appeal.
Okay.
And there's one of the pictures.
Great. Kind of squeezed through the fencing, as it looks like there. All right, we have any questions from council on? By the way, Mr. Claffey, please speak up if I miss you here. All right, if not, I'll open it to the public. Any public comment on this? Not in the council chamber. How about on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor?
Is there? Are there any representative of this? If not, okay, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would make the motion to approve resolution number 2022-49, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake denying the appeal of an abatement order at real property located at 16036 14th Avenue in accordance with Chapter 18, Article 41 and 42 of the Clearlake Municipal Code.
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilwoman Overton. Our vote. And Councilman Overton's votes aye.
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 Motion passes with the unanimous vote of the council.
All right, we go to our next item. Thank you.
Officers, thank you.
Go to item number 16, purchase of a e-citation solution from Tyler Technology. Chief White.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and apparently this thing doesn't work. Okay, hopefully this will work better. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. The item before you tonight is to authorize the police department to acquire an e-citation solution. By way of background, we issue a variety of different citations, including traffic and criminal, administrative, and parking citations. With the exception of code enforcement for administrative citations, our process is all paper driven. In 2021, we issued just under 4,000 manually written citations. To review the process, when an officer handwrites the citation, either the officer or somebody from dispatch and records will key that into the computer. They then have to scan it. They then send it to the court, and the court pays another employee to re-enter all the same information into their computer system. Obviously, this is not efficient and it's time consuming. And in the case of parking citations, we have to send it to another company who we pay them to also turn around and re-enter the same information into the computer. Many law enforcement agencies throughout the U.S. have transitioned to electronic citation issuance. I personally used electronic citation issuance back in 2005. So it's a well-proven technology that reduces an officer's time on a stop. It can help eliminate errors that are caused by handwriting legibility and other errors that may come up. It provides uniform capture of data, which is important for analyzing traffic safety issues, occurrences of incidents and so forth, and obviously enables a single point of entry and then sending that information out to the different consumers, i.e. our local record system, the court system, our citation processing agency for those. Lake County Superior Court recently upgraded their computer system so that they can accept this electronically, and they've been very supportive of this project with us. In fact, they've already paid for the interface on their end, so we just have to get it on our end and, of course, the equipment to issue it. The district attorney's office cannot accept electronic transfer at this time, but it's likely that their future system would support it. So for them, we would still issue the citations electronically through the system, but then we would turn around and print it out to paper or send it as a PDF to them. As you all know, we acquired the Tyler Enterprise Resource Planning System that we use in finance and throughout the city. Tyler offers an electronic citation solution that's used by many agencies in the state of California and throughout the U.S. In fact, I think there's some states that they use it across the entire state, the single state contract. They've provided a proposal for a complete solution for our agency, which includes all the interfacing, the hardware, software, training, et cetera. The cost of the solution is $55,144 plus tax, and there's an annual support fee of $6,459. At year 3, we've negotiated an annual fee that would be subject to a max 3% escalator. If you look at the CPI increase, that's probably a good thing to have in there going forward. Your council approved an ordinance amendment which exempts purchases from competitively bid contracts. In this case, we're using the Sourcewell competitive purchasing contract. Attached in is the copy of the proposal from Tyler Technologies. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like, up on the screen is one of the handheld ruggedized devices that an officer would have, quite similar to a smartphone. Our license also includes 2 smartphone licenses for users who wouldn't need the rugged device. They have a printer that they carry, and essentially when they make contact in the case of, say, a traffic citation, they can take the driver's license. On the back of the driver's license is a 2D code. They can scan it, all the information immediately populates. They choose pick to list items, and then they can gather the violator's signature. They print it out on the little printer, and then from there everything happens automatically back to all the other systems. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the council.
Any questions from the council here? Councilwoman Overton.
So this is just including 2 handheld devices, is that correct?
No, there's 2 licenses for using existing smartphones. The rest are actual handheld devices. So the device you see there, the rugged handheld unit, charging cradles, batteries, same thing for the printer. So there's printers and batteries, power adapters, and so forth.
And how many of those do we get?
I believe that there's 6 of those included.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds like at $16 a pop, that's a pretty good deal to get everything electronically filed. All right. Any more questions from Chief White? We open it to the public. Any public comment on this? If not, we have anybody on Zoom on this item, Madam Clerk? Nope. Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, since I've seemed to be the one doing this tonight, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-31 and read by title only, I guess. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake authorizing the Chief of Police to enter into a contract with Tyler Technologies, Inc. for the purchase of an e-citation solution.
Okay, we have a motion by
Second.
Councilman Kramer and a second by Vice Mayor Purdock. We'll go to our electronic voting. With an, you got it? Oh, I got it.
Aye.
Yay.
There we go. Madam Clerk, what's the result of the vote?
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Awesome. We go to our last item. Item number 17, consideration of adoption of a resolution number 2022-35 for calling for and giving notice to the general municipal election. I believe City Clerk Melissa is this item.
Thank you, Mayor and honorable council members. Tonight, the City Council is being asked to adopt a resolution which calls for the November 22 election and authorize consolidation with the County of Lake for election services. There are 2 City Council member seats and 1 City Treasurer term of office that will be on the November 8th ballot. They are Mayor Slutin, Councilmember Kramer, and the City Treasurer is currently vacant. The filing period for nomination papers begins in July and continues through August. It is appropriate for the council to adopt Resolution 2022-35. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from our City Clerk? If not, open to the public. Any public comment in the chamber? Not. Anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adopt the resolution number 2022-35 calling for and giving notice of general municipal election.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Purdock and a second by Councilwoman Overton. We'll go to our voting.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Great. We go to City Manager and Council Member reports. Mr. Flora.
I don't have much to report. I did want to let the council know that we have continued vandalism of the bathrooms at Austin Park, and so I'm not sure what we're going to do next, but we're getting pretty exhausted with continually refixing the facilities there. So we'll see if there's things enforcement-wise that we can do, but we're also kicking around ideas on physical reconfiguration of the facilities. So, and then the other thing is I was going to have interim Public Works Director Schwartz provide a little bit of an update on the Sulfur Fire project.
Good evening. Yeah, just a quick update for you. I'll cover a lot of things. If you want to stop me in midstream, feel free. First of all, I'll give you a quick update on the Sulfur Fire street paving project. The full depth reclamation paving work is completed. It was done on April the 28th, Thursday. All the mainline paving was done on the 17th of this month of May, or the 17th of May. All the raising of the utility covers is completed now. The AC dike that goes on either side of the road is completed. The guardrail work is completed. We're currently working on shoulder backing, working on the concrete roadway and the gooseneck. The striping is scheduled to start next week. It'll last about 1 to 2 weeks. That would be striping and signage. And then we'll obviously create a punch list Next week, you would expect the concrete road pour to be finished along with the shoulder backing. We're set a completion date currently of July the 12th, 2022, so that will tidy up the Sulfur Fire project. Next, moving on to the splash pad in Austin Park, that is, equipment has been ordered, contractor is now under contract, we're getting submittals from the contractor. He was supposed to start work on Monday. There's been a bit of a delay. I think it's probably gonna be the following Monday now when he starts work on the splash pad. Second, a Modoc street rehabilitation project is due to start just after the 4th of July holiday. Looking at grading, we've been grading about 10 miles of roadway in preparation for the chip seal project. I just realized as that time I was writing down my list, I had committed last time to getting a map on the website, so for everybody could see it. I don't remember doing that, so unless Alan did it or Marissa, my assistant engineering, did it, I apologize, I'll get that done. But that's about 10 miles of chip seal project. That actually went out to bid today, and we'll be starting that about mid-July. The Burns Valley Development Phase, go ahead.
In that area that you'll be doing the chip sealing, if you could just share with the public that you're grading
Yes.
in preparation for, isn't that north of 40th?
Well, it's pretty much citywide. It's not aggregated to one area.
Okay, thank you.
That area is included, though.
Definitely included, yes.
I saw them up there working today.
Today, yeah. I always know where they're at because I always get a few calls.
There you go.
Helpful citizens. Great advice. Burns Valley Development Phase 1 project, that should be getting paved the week after next. That's coming along real nicely. It's really taking shape out there. If you have got a chance to drive back there, that whole Public Works future yard area is really coming along nice. It's clean, and we're currently completing the weed abatement out there right now with some disking.
Quick question on that. Is PG&E being responsive on that project?
Yes, PG&E is being responsive. I wouldn't say they're happy about it, but yes, they're being responsive. We're probably not going to be on the Christmas card list.
We don't care about that.
I figured you didn't. Just a quick update on the city parks. Austin Park is starting to green up finally after long overdue. I'm out there quite a bit, and we're adjusting watering schedules. We've got some reliable watering going on now, and some filtration issues we think have gotten those worked out. We're also implementing a much more aggressive weed control. I can't tell you that all the weeds are gone out there, but from 2 weeks ago to this week, I can tell you there's been substantial improvement, and we're going to continue to head in that direction. We won't rest here on Austin Park at all. And Redbud Park, we got the irrigation controller, which will operate the pump. That came in today. That should get hooked up on Monday, and we'll be back to irrigating Redbud Park. And we'll be putting the same level of effort and care into Redbud Park as we have Austin Park to try to get that up to snuff as well. And then we're also in the process in the Public Works Department of implementing a daily and weekly checklist. I'm hoping to use it through our program called iWorks, which I learned about today. But anyway, for some accountability things and to implement a checklist. And I've issued a challenge to the Parks Department. I've told them the parks are a reflection on them as well as us as staff. And they seem to be very receptive to that. So I'm anxious to see what transpires over the next 30 days as it relates to these parks. Which includes the senior center, because I kind of include that with the park stuff. So getting ready for the the parade on the 2nd of July and the concert, kind of coordinating that between the rec department and Public Works Department. It's a pretty big effort, learning about a lot that we could have done a little bit better last year and taken those lessons from last year and implementing them from this year. So hopefully that'll go smoother still yet. Again, I kind of mentioned the senior center, and along with Austin Park and Redbud Park, I was at the senior center today, and it has definitely hit my hit list. And I told Alan in the parking lot I refuse to accept the way that area is looking. And so get ready. Something's gonna happen. I don't know if it'll be good, but something's gonna change out there. It's not acceptable the way it's looking. And then lastly, I'm looking at scheduling a traffic safety committee meeting and utility coordination meeting for the last week of June. I'll be sending those, some dates and times out and try to get those committees back up on a more normalized basis.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So Mr. Schwartz has done quite a bit in the couple of weeks that he's been involved, and so far he still hasn't agreed to be our permanent public works director, but we're still working on him. So.
We need to push harder.
All right, Mr. Councilman Kramer, you have anything exciting?
Well, I don't know how exciting it is, but I do have several things. I met last week, Bruno Sabache, Supervisor Sabache, and I met with several citizens out in the Burns Valley area to discuss a water monitoring program, one that would be over a period of time, and hopefully we'll develop some information that would be more valid to address issues in Burns Valley long-term on the water issues. Secondly, I want to thank our Public Works Department, Interim Director Schwartz and Bo for giving us, or getting the electric message sign down for our Lord Lake Days celebration, as well as loaning us traffic barriers. I returned the last of those this morning, however, by the way. And also thanks to Chief White for his taking part in the parade with his three motorcycles, and then sticking around afterwards and providing a police presence, helping to provide a police presence at the Lower Lake Day Festival, which was probably, I've heard estimates anywhere up all the way up to 5,000 people being there. So it was a huge event, and we really appreciate your help on that. And last but certainly not least, I also want to thank Chief White and his officers for providing a police presence at our schools the day after the tragic shooting in Texas. I think we all got a letter, that CC of a letter from Superintendent Salado thanking you, and it was very well deserved. And again, it showed our police department in its best light. So thank you again. And that's it.
All right. Councilman Claffey, you have anything to report?
No, Mr. Mayor, nothing to report.
Councilwoman Overton?
Well, he did have something to report, he just didn't. He was
Didn't think
down
of
at
it,
the
huh?
Lower Lake Parade. We both were. He did an awesome job. So out there showing himself. He did a great job down there. So I don't really have anything to report. I just wanted to say he did that. And, you know, the Lower Lake Parade was great. I think the way they have it set up now is extremely nice. I hope we can start working on, doing better with our events here. I think now that we've getting things in order, I think we're going to see that our events are going to start really popping here too. So, I want the citizens to start looking forward to our events, because they're going to start really looking nice. Thank you for, I'll kiss your feet for the senior center, and I'm there to help you do whatever it is you want. That's my last project. I like to see it done. So, just an announcement that we are doing the senior center is doing their mystery dinner tomorrow night, and we did, unfortunately, David Claffey, of course, as we could see, is out of town, and so our wonderful Sheriff Brian Martin is stepping in his position. I just want to let you know, David, he did a good job. So he had practice. So so we're still selling tickets. If anybody would like to go, they can go online and purchase those.
Great, thank you. Vice Mayor Purdock?
Well, I apologize for missing the last scheduled council meeting. I had to be out of town for family, but I want to take the chance and opportunity to thank everyone, in particular the city staff, city police department, for their help with the Hope for Health event in Austin Park. It was very well attended by the community. We heard very good things about it, looking at healthier options for our community and hopefully to improve the health overall. It was also a great opportunity to have the Blue Zones kickoff, and again, very well supported, and grateful to Rotary and the Lioness and all the service clubs who participated, and faith group organizations that made that such a success. We did have our LTA and APC meeting, Lake County Transit and Area Planning Council meeting this week. We did approve budgets, and we also approved a bit of a price or a wage hike for the transit drivers. If you're interested in looking for work and you think that would make a good opportunity for you, I'd strongly recommend getting hold of Lake County Transit. They have some really good positions open. And I think that wraps it up for me, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I was out of town, so nothing to report. All right. Let's see, we have any future agenda items? If not, we adjourn to closed session.